The week before, everything shifted. A pipe burst in Natalia's kitchen. The contractor said it would take 10 days to dry the joists and replace the line. Dad offered her the guest room. We'd known her for years, the elegant woman who watched the neighborhood like a quiet lighthouse. She thanked him with a tray of lemon bars and a smile that made time adjust its breathing. I carried her boxes up the stairs. Her perfume, amber and orange peel, clung to the hallway in a way that felt like a sentence left unfinished. She said, "You're a lifesaver," and touched my arm just briefly, like punctuation. That night, Ronnie came over with controllers, pizza, and the kind of jokes that only friends who know your bad days can make. But the house felt different, as if it had acquired a second heartbeat. Friday evenings were predictable. Games with Ronnie, greasy food, mock arguments about who screen cheated. Predictable failed to arrive. At 9, Natalia came downstairs from the guest room. 63 and luminous in a silk robe cinched loose at the waist, she didn't enter the living room so much as revise it. The robe caught the TV's flicker and threw it back as liquid light. Ronnie stopped mid-sentence. I forgot to respond. She lifted 2 glasses of wine. "A thank you for the moving crew," she said, amused. "You boys look like you're having fun. Mind if I join?" No one said no. The word didn't survive that moment. She sat between us, an elegant wedge driven into everything we weren't saying. The robe slid as she crossed her legs. The room tightened. We tried small talk, contractors, HOA emails, weather like warm soup. Beneath the weather, a pressure system spun. Ronnie laughed at something silly, but his eyes drifted, returning to her like a tide. She noticed. She let him know she noticed with a half smile and the slow orbit of her wine. Minutes stretched thin. The TV asked if we were still watching. We were, just not it. When Natalia finally leaned forward, her voice dropped to floor. "I've noticed the way you two look at me." My throat clicked. Ronnie's grip on his glass became religious. The sentence sat between us like a candle we were afraid to blow out. "Don't worry," she said, placing her glass down. "I'm not offended." Her hand brushed my knee, light as a suggestion. Then she reached across, resting her palm on Ronnie's thigh, present, not pressing. He inhaled like he'd tripped. "I may be older," she went on, tone steady, "but desire doesn't retire, and I see you, both of you, trying not to see me." She let that land, then added, "Nothing has to happen, but nothing has to be denied either." She set ground rules like coasters. Adults only. Yes means yes. No means no. Maybe means we slow down. No secrets outside this room. No messes we aren't willing to clean. The power wasn't in what she suggested. It was in how safe she made the choice. Ronnie looked at me for permission, as if I kept a lock on the door to whatever was next. I didn't. I nodded anyway. He nodded a half-beat later, loyal to habit. We approached, not leapt. The first touches were punctuation, commas, not exclamation marks. Shoulders grazed, hands rested, air shortened. Natalia's smile told us she was listening in a language made of breath. She leaned in and kissed me, gentle, a question mark. I answered by not moving away. Then she turned to Ronnie and asked him the same question in the same language. He answered the same way. Clothing stayed on. Nothing was rushed. The heat came from proximity and permission, not spectacle. She guided without gripping, invited without insisting. "Anyone can stop this any second," she said. No one did. The hours dilated. The room forgot what time meant. We learned the geography of a boundary you cross by walking, not jumping, how the floor feels different when you're telling the truth about what you want. She was composed and warm, neither reckless nor ashamed. She alternated between us with an ease that made shame look like a costume from an older play. When she said, "Good," it sounded like feedback, not judgment. At some point, I ended up reclined on the couch. She leaned over me, her robe a whisper. Ronnie sat close, shoulder to shoulder, every breath audible. The TV kept hunting for our attention and failing. When finally the room exhaled, Natalia retied her robe, her hair slightly looser, her eyes clear. "Thank you," she said simply, "for being decent men. Don't forget that tomorrow." Then she went upstairs as if she had just finished reading us a story that had been overdue for years. Coffee tried to explain the night and failed. Natalia, in jeans and a soft tee, looked like an alibi you'd believe in court. "Are we okay?" I asked. "We're informed," she said, smiling. That's stronger than okay. She proposed boundaries 2.0, check-ins before and after, no jealousy games, no overlap with other relationships, ending cleanly if feelings shift, daylight lunches to prove we weren't building a house out of midnight alone. My phone buzzed. "Ronnie, we need to talk, not just about last night." "Looks like your friend is conscientious," she said. "Good. Conscience is the best furniture." Ronnie arrived spooked. He'd checked our porch cam from the app. There was a midnight motion alert, flagged, reviewed, not by us. We opened the portal. Someone at the HOA, or a bored neighbor with too much access, had clicked through the thumbnail. All you could see were silhouettes and the TV's glow through the curtains. Nothing explicit, but gossip eats shadows for breakfast. "Do we panic?" Ronnie asked. "We own it," Natalia said. "If asked, we say, late movie, adult company, nothing illegal, nothing anyone's business. Shame requires secrecy." "We can be boring instead." She turned to me. "Unless there's something else I should know." I didn't answer quick enough. Ronnie did. "Tell her about your dad." Dad had invited Natalia to stay because he trusts her. He also treats me like I need permanent supervision. I resented being someone's project while pretending I didn't. Natalia didn't flinch. "I care about your father as a friend. I care about you as you. But I won't be the bandage for your father wounds," she said. "If we continue, it's because we choose it, not because you're rebelling." It landed like truth tends to, clean and unignorable. Ronnie confessed he'd been indecisive with Maya for months. Last night didn't cause that, just made indecision impossible to hide. "Then be kind and honest," Natalia said. "Kindness without honesty is cowardice." The house felt strangely lighter. Dad texted, "Landing tonight instead of Sunday? See you at 8. I felt the floor tilt. At 8:07, he walked in, suitcase rolling, eyes scanning. The extra wine glasses in the sink, the shifted throw, the living room that had learned a new language overnight. His questions came as statements. "I asked Natalia to stay so you'd have a little structure," he said, looking through me at her. "You did," I replied. "And I have structure, also agency." He stared at the air between us, as if it could confess. Natalia's voice stayed calm. "Your son is exactly who you raised him to be, capable of making adult decisions. He didn't forbid anything. He didn't approve anything. He simply witnessed and went quiet in a way I had always mistaken for authority." The email subject line tried to be polite. "Choa courtesy notice, concerning late-night activity." We showed up at the clubhouse at noon. The HOA rep used passive voice like a shield. Natalia used precision like a scalpel. "You reviewed a private porch camera thumbnail of shadows through closed curtains," she said. "If the issue is noise, say noise, and we'll measure decibels. If the issue is morality, put that in writing so our lawyer can frame it. Otherwise, this meeting is concluded." The rep folded into apologies and policy citations. Meeting adjourned. Outside, she took our hands for a second. Platonic, grounding, real. "Now comes the hard part," she said, "handling yourselves." Ronnie blew out a breath. "I told Maya it's over, not because of last night, because it was overdue." I nodded. "And I told my dad I don't need a warden. He can love me without managing me." Natalia smiled. "Good. Then if we continue, we do it on purpose, not as a secret or a protest." We tested daylight. Brunch at the cafe on Birch. Sunshine redefines everything. What feels thrilling at midnight can feel fragile at noon. This didn't. It felt intentional. We talked logistics, not fantasies, rotating evenings to avoid burnout, no performance, check-ins like seatbelts. If anyone felt off, we paused. No justifications required. "Desire without consent is a fire," Natalia said. "Desire with consent is a hearth." We agreed to be a hearth. Maya showed up at the cafe with 2 friends and a counterfeit smile. Ronnie stood, sincere and unafraid. "I should have been clearer months ago," he said. "I'm sorry for the silence you had to live inside. You deserved better." She nodded, watery and grateful, which is not the same as happy. Natalia stayed out of frame, a silhouette in a window's reflection, refusing to be the exit sign for someone else's story. After they left, Ronnie looked older in a good way. A neighborhood forum post appeared. "Late-night visitors at 214? Concerned." Comments multiplied like bread. We didn't feed them. Natalia posted once, "3 adults live here temporarily. If noise disturbed you, we apologize and will be mindful. Otherwise, we wish everyone a lovely evening." The thread died within an hour because drama can't survive where there's nothing to eat. Dad texted me a single line, proud of how you responded. It was the first time in years that sentence sounded like him and not an actor hired to play him. It arrived quietly on a Tuesday, jealousy in civilian clothes. I didn't like how easily she and Ronnie laughed about some old film. Ronnie didn't like how calm I was when she put a hand on his shoulder. The room needed air. Natalia called a timeout. "Pause," she said. We sat at the table with mugs and honesty. We said the quiet parts out loud. Fear of being discarded, fear of being less, fear of wanting more than the rule book allowed. She proposed a reset ritual, each of us naming one thing we needed that week, one thing we feared, and one boundary that would help. The ritual didn't cure jealousy, it tamed it. We returned to the living room with shoulders that knew how to share space again. Dad invited us all to dinner. Stew and the kind of bread you have to tear with intention. He was quieter than usual, which is where his sincerity hides. "I'm learning where my care becomes control," he said to me. To Natalia, "Thank you for never letting me outsource my son to you." To Ronnie, "You've been a friend in ways I didn't see. We didn't solve family systems. We made them breathable." When dessert arrived, Dad asked if we were happy. We answered with the kind of silence that isn't avoidance, just a moment to honor the truth. Then we said yes. Weeks later, the contractor finished Natalia's kitchen. She moved back home. The guest room exhaled. The hallway kept her perfume for another day, like a secret it was allowed to keep. We established a rhythm stretched across 2 houses and 1 long sidewalk. Some nights we were 3. Other nights we were 2 in different combinations. Often we were just ourselves, alone and intact. One clear evening, the porch camera pinged again. The clip showed us walking out the front door together. No sneaking, no shadows. The night didn't swallow us. It lit a path. I saved the clip without renaming it. I didn't need a secret title. The file already knew what it was. People talk about lines as if they are electric fences. Most are pencil marks. The real work isn't in crossing them. It's in seeing them, naming them, and deciding whether you live on one side out of fear or you step over because you can carry the responsibility of where your feet land. We didn't build a perfect story. We built an honest one. And honesty, it turns out, is the only thing that still feels forbidden enough to be worth choosing.